Hello, and thank you for tuning in to my podcast. It's been a trying day today. I don't have my mic funk. I can't find the cord. I was recording during a trip, and so I'm just going to use my computer audio, and we can go from there. The main thing is to understand the purpose behind what I'm trying to do and the long-term effects. It really doesn't really mean what happens or the challenges in production. I'm new at this, but it's very needed. I'm not the only voice out there talking about these types of things to eliminate military elimination. Before I get started, I want to share a conversation I had with a young lady, a senior. My life revolves around working with youth at different parts of their life, either sports or with church. She's telling me about her graduation year and how it's going. And her plans, she wanted to be in nursing, wanted to go to community college and off to a 4-year university. But then she said, Mom's thinking about joining the military. My insight, and the reason why she was going to the military is to pay for college. They're under this notion based on advertising that the military is going to pay for your college. That's just a Venus fly crap. After I share my insight, the students said, thank you, because all she hears is the good stuff about the military, from the recruiters, from the ads, right? So she just really was happy to hear the other side. I can tell through that conversation with her that her thinking, her ideas about the future, I flipped the script not to change her mind, but to give her something to think about. That conversation told me what I'm trying to do is on the right track. I'm not trying to get people away from the military. I want them to understand what they're getting into. I said, hey, you know what? Go get your degree, go get your college, get it out of the way, go in as an officer, maybe do the ROTC program. Now she's got time to think. To be a teenager or a young adult, around positive people, getting her degree, her mind's going to shift. I know when I was in, my mind shifted, but I couldn't do anything. I sit at a hole at 2 in the morning. I knew I didn't want to do this much for my life. So it was to get him away from that, hurry up, make a decision, senior year, take a break, see what's out there, and then make your decision. That's what we're really all about. I don't know what kind of, that's what I am about. So anyways, that's my tune in. I guess a lot of times I just go from my heart. But I want to share with you this website or my podcast. I tend to have a basic overview. I'm not trying to change minds or give details. When I say them, I'm talking about students, okay? Or young adults, or even people who know these people, okay? To think about it. That's what this is all about. Let them know what's out there. Open their eyes up. I know had it happened with me, I would have never joined the military. For 2 reasons. I'm only being in control. Welcome to Military Illumination. Let's get started. It's a podcast that would help you decide if the military option is right for you or someone you care about. I'm your host, Gary. I'm a veteran, and I share my journey and heartaches to help you navigate the traps and dangers of military service. I provide information about military recruitment traps, benefits, and lifestyles. We illuminate the truth behind military benefits and issues surrounding the military lifestyles. I turn on the lights to show the dark secrets of the United States Armed Forces. Through experiences, historical data, and military admissions, make an informed decision about enlisting or recommending it, especially if it's between 18 and 24 years old. Learn this information while you're in the military or going through a negative situation. By that time, it will be too late. Let's turn on the lights. This is part 2 of the military justice system, Judge Advocate General, okay? Did my first part, my last was part 2. We're going to deal with the parts, people, roles, and how they impact what is judicial appropriate, what is correct. Let's review the fundamentals when joining the military. Understand the Ferris Doctrine. You got to know it like you know it. FERES Doctrine. It is a foundation for everything. It flushes away anything you think is fair and practical and within the Constitution. It reduces you to a line item on a pay sheet. When we talk about the Ferris Doctrine, we look at it as this. The congressional leaders, that's the first person that a person would go to if they're having problems in the military. That's an old myth. Right, you congressman. Yeah. Wrong answer. Anyways, the Ferris Doctrine was created through the Tort Claims Act. The same people in 1953 enacted it. What makes you think they're going to care about the soldier or the airman harmed by the military? They're not. Congressional leaders, Congress passed that law. Civilian courts, get your hands off. Okay? They're based on the fairest doctrine, means that they're going to allow the military to do what they want. You can bring a case to court, pay all the money, go to the Supreme Court. In the end, you're going to lose. The person's going to lose. Everybody knows that because the person's going through it. Why? They're thinking of the Constitution, the legal rights, protection of this country. They can't be held accountable because of the fair doctrine, which means they don't have to give you justice. They may make it look like it, but in the end, you're not going to get anything. Look at the court cases and the Supreme Court cases. That shows you that. You can just talk to people. So when we look at that, the military has autonomy or self-govern, meaning you can do whatever you want to do and no one's going to bother you. So that's the first thing you want to always understand. That's the foundation for the military. And it hinges on the fairest doctrine. It's weakening a little bit, but unless you have a high, massive profile case where they cannot run and hide, you're going to be the average person in the military is going to be, and their family is going to be affected by it. The second thing is, when we talk about the fairest doctrine, what we talk about in the military, they're always talking about, esprit de corps or country patriotism, service, the Kool-Aid. But what they don't tell you, what they're saying in print, or what they say verbally, but it's their actions that you have to look at. And really quick, the fairest doctrine was 3 cases where the military wronged somebody. Either medically, or the biggest one, namesake Lieutenant Rudolph Ferris, who was killed in a barracks fire. Military acknowledged they were negligent. Here is a poor widow with a young child, sick and denied her. This wasn't a soldier. This was a family member. They turned away a spouse of a soldier that was killed in a building owned by the government who was negligent. Think about that. The other 2 medical cases, same thing. You're signing up for when you join the military. Let's move on. And the second thing you really got to understand is I want you to draw like a Venn diagram. If you don't know what a Venn diagram, 3 circles. And 1 circle with the civilian. There's legal lawsuits, medical malpractice, dental retirement, unions, benefits. If wronged by your employer, you can sue, sexually harassed, or assaulted. You can bring that case to court. You can be heard and compensated. Medical, right? Really good. Why? Everybody's afraid of being sued for malpractice. Retirement. Good unions represent the person in the employer. Now, think about the military. This is very simple. Just flip everything you know about the civilian sector, flip it around, and it's going to be opposite. It doesn't exist in the military. You can't bring lawsuits. Medical is marginal at best, unless you're the president. The doctors are getting their minutes into the public sector. It's not the same. Not compare apples to apples. The care is everything within the military system. Yes, they say they have it, but truly, it's not. I'll bring these out more when I talk about benefits. The only thing common between the civilian sector and the military is if you can see it as opposite, then you're on the right track. And if you can live with that, better you than me. Even though I did do it, but I was 6 months into it and I wanted out. I saw the devil in the writings. Understand the JAG system prior to the military. You really gotta understand that they'll sit you down about JAG and UCMJ, and he's okay, no big deal. A person will equate it to what they know in the civilian sector, right? The injustice in the civilian court systems versus the military court systems, there's a higher rate of incarceration of people of color. You can't be perfect. It's better than most countries. The injustice in the military is injustice on steroids. It's, I don't know, I guess better you can say is it's justice in the military is like justice in a communist country. You have no rights. Let's move on. Another difference in the court systems, in the military you have the trial counsel who's going to be bringing the case to prosecute you. Well, they're similar to the prosecutor in the civilian. The trial counsel is the prosecutor. They just call him a different name. Sounds like. The detail or assigned counsel is like the public defender. There's a joke about the public defender is that you get a public defender, you might as well just go ahead and go to jail. And public defenders are cutting their teeth too. They're just getting started. And usually you don't want a public defender when you're in civilian sector. ideally, they're getting paid from the same pot as the prosecutor. What type of justice are you going to get? It's bad enough that you have an attorney that has a relationship with the prosecutor or the public defender who can work against you. The detailed counsel is appointed, and they're similar to the public defender, which means that the level of instruction, the level of legal support is minimal. They're just there symbolically. In the civilian sector, the prosecutor's office they basically determine what's going to be brought for trial, whether they're going to charge somebody or not. In the military, in most cases, it's the commander. It's a local commander, the unit commanders that will decide the type of justice, who will be charged, and what will be charged. They'll be the driving force behind it. So in the civilian sector, you have almost a separate entity who's determining the fate. In the military, the same person who's in your command is determining your fate. In Trent, I'm going to digress real fast here. On the website I went to was the Department of Defense, a website of the United States government, Department of Defense, DOD victim and witness assistance. If a person was having challenges, they probably Google it, and this might pop up. The website was very basic, thorough. It highlights the high level of injustice within the system. The commander may choose to take no action. The circumstances surrounding an event actually may warrant that no adverse action. The preliminary inquiry might indicate the accused is innocent, but the only evidence admissible. The commander may decide valid reason exists not to prosecute. The commander may initiate administrative action against a soldier. The commander might determine that the best disposition for this offense and this offender is to take administrative rather than punitive action. Administrative action is not punitive in character. Instead, is meant to be corrective and rehabilitative. Administrative actions include measures from counseling or reprimand to involuntary separation. You can go on this website, and this is what it's saying from this standpoint, based on what I understand. The commander determines what happens. In the case of my friend, they ignored the evidence. Lieutenant Colonel Brett Dockery, it's an open door policy for abuse and discrimination. A person doesn't even have to do anything wrong for this to take place. And friend, the only thing that person did was to tell the truth on their stands and in their job. They were part of the procurement system in the military. That's it. So if you're always thinking, oh, maybe you got to do something bad, no, you don't have to do anything bad. You don't have to. You just got to be on the shit list of your commander. Ew, I don't like that. I want that rates it. I want you to understand, you're not judged based on what you do. You're judged based on how someone sees you. In a transparent system in civilian courts, it's transparent. Everything is recorded. There's nothing hidden. Any outcome is there. But in military, it's veiled. That's all I can say. It's veiled. And it's a lot is hidden through the various doctrine, release of information. And finally, in civilian courts, there's accountability. If a judge does something inappropriate, if a lawyer does something inappropriate, they can be held accountable. The military, they have autonomy. They won't be held accountable. So when you're thinking about the military service, think about the judicial system. What you become part of just because of you being you. All right? And probably in a lot of people, I'm noticing I'm getting started. A lot of this stuff is either people who listen to my podcast are either out of the country or on the East Coast. Chances are you're going to run into a lot of people who's in JAG, right? And they're going to say things. They're going to say, probably throw me the bus, right? Or I don't know what I'm talking about. You just look at the facts. I wouldn't have thought about it until I walked through the fire and I've seen it firsthand. What should you know about the military? The military is not required to follow the rules. They're sneaky. I think one thing that they're sneaky about is when a person goes in the military is that if they don't finish the schooling they went in for, or they don't qualify or pass the courses to get the job they were promised, the military can put them anywhere. Okay, I've seen them put a kid who wasn't very smart. They were going to put him on a nuclear sub as an electrician. He had to go to school first. I knew that student was not, and not that he was done, but I just knew the military. And sure enough, he didn't even know he's a cook. They don't tell you that. If you don't pass, they'll put you everybody last until it happens to you. The military is not required to follow the rules. The system favors the officers. One thing I talked about was how they recruit. If you don't get qualified to schooling and once you get in the military, they don't put you someplace else. The jobs no one else wants and no one they can fill. That's how they fill those jobs. If they're promised a job in the military and you do not complete the course, for whatever reason, and it could just be reason that they just need to top 20% of the people, and they will put you in a situation where you're going to fail, then they're going to put you someplace else for your entire time, doing what you didn't want to do. Think about that. You could sign up for 2 or 4 years, but they got you for 8 years. You can do 3 years active duty, and then they can call you back when they want you. That's not being truthful. You go in the military, tied to the government. So the person in the military is at the mercy of the process. Once you're in, you're locked in. It's not like a game with officers. It really is. It's like they can just toy with you because you're like their property. It's a slave owner and slave mentality type of thing. You have all these people, you do whatever you want with them, and no one's going to hold you accountable. So, everything with my friends, I was talking with that person, him a couple of weeks ago. He hasn't listened to my podcast, trying to get to it. But me, I have too much connection. This thing with him was preventable. It shows the nature of the military. Lieutenant Colonel Brett Dockery, the first of 168th Aviation Battalion at Fort Lewis in National Guard, okay? He also eventually became Brigadier General, and he was the Adjutant General. I think he's retired. I don't know who he's working for. Be careful. Was the Executive Officer of 168th Aviation Battalion. Bennett, Dwight Williams, was military judge, General Barlow, General Legowitz. With all these people could have stopped it. The issue had nothing to do with evidence. It had nothing to do with a crime being committed. It had to be retaliation against a soldier who refused to lie and doctor the books to support these people when they were targeting another soldier. That's it. But commander decides it. At this point, the commander was Brett Dockery. He was forcing these people into play. Davis, Bennett, and Williams, Christensen, and Goodell. Goodell was the detail counsel. Christensen was the trial counsel. Donald Bennett was the trial counsel. Jumped ship. Could have avoided it. They prevented it. Now let's talk about the legislative people. Jonathan McCoy, Assistant Attorney General. Christian Gregoire, the Attorney General. Senator Pat Murray, the Washington Representatives. Washington Senators. Senator Adam Smith. Gary Locke. National Guard Bureau. Department of Defense. U.S. President. All these people could have stepped in, stopped this abuse. But because the system is set up, they didn't have to. Everybody understood what was happening, but nothing they could have done. Most people, Adam Smith, Patty Murray, they're untouchables. When a person goes to these officers, they're talking to an entry-level person who has nothing better to do than to do nothing. Okay? You're government employees. But there was an email. I got the file from my friend. The governor's office. I said, let me see the file. Let me see what they have. What's been going on? There was probably 3 or 4 pieces of paper in it. All this was happening on communications. There was nothing in that file. They weren't doing anything. But there was this email between the governor's office, liaison, and Washington National Guard counterparts. It says, what are you guys doing? Do you realize the illegal issues that will come from this? Think about that. This was the office email. What are you guys doing? Do you realize that? I'm paraphrasing now. I'm going to ask my friend for the actual one. The National Guard Bureau, they knew. But a lot of times you're dealing with entry-level, second-tier people. You're not dealing with decision makers. These people just push paper. Nothing goes up. And if it does goes up. And a matter of fact, with one of the things he said that Patty Murray's frontline person said, they didn't read the documentation. They sent a packet and they didn't read it. Secondly, they cannot tell another government agency what to do. Think about that. That's what they said on the phone. You cannot tell another government agency what to do. If you draw a circle, put the military, right? Then the second circle, it's like a bullseye, like a target. The black part is going to be the military. The next one's going to be the Ferris doctrine. Then the courts, your legislative leaders, then the government. All these layers are insulating the military. I use the names of the people who committed these offenses to show the players, types, and roles. Not to demean them, but they're the ones who did it. The game doesn't change only the players. Doesn't matter who's in those offices. This is what's going to happen. I'm naming the perpetrator to eliminate the truth. Like rats and cockroaches who run when you turn on the lights, so people like these, the people I mentioned, will run by denying the truth. The intended effect is to ensure. Why do I do it again? It's to ensure young men and women considering military as an option towards their ultimate goals and dreams will be forewarned and told the truth before they make the mistake. I tell these people, I'm not anti-military. We need them. Somebody's got to do the unthinkable. I tell them things. I say, in the military, you're either killing somebody or you're helping somebody kill somebody. When I say that, their eyes light up. Because they're thinking about, I'm going to go and learn a trade. I'm going to be a truck driver, a mechanic, nurse. You're either killing somebody or you're helping somebody kill somebody. If you're going to join because you want to fight, be a soldier, a sailor, a military person, airman, marine, they don't need to entice you. That you want to serve from the bottom of your heart, that what you want to do is be in the military. And you don't worry about the things that Nicola happened to you. You accept them. Right. I tell them, don't join the military because of the benefits. And the big one is paying for college. Don't join the military. You have a goal, dreams, a path. There's a lot of things available rather than the military. Thing that won't take away their freedom, won't take away their justice, won't take away their legal rights, and won't leave them afterwards with a severe post-traumatic stress disorder. If you're talking to a young person, just tell them to do the work, due diligence, right? If you're a young person listening to this, right, factor this in and think about the military. If you're a high school student, you have more options than you think. You can achieve the same thing as they're offering the military, but without giving it your freedom, not giving it your identity. When a person is in the military, you're serving in a system of injustice, lies, and discrimination. I hate when I tell people I'm a veteran. It comes out in context. And then when the words I dread, especially around Veterans Day, is, thank you for your service. God, that just grinds on me, right? We have military people. I mean, they can think of it as service by getting rid of the Barrett Doctrine. Talking to Congress about not reducing tax burdens on veterans. Stop paying taxes on your retirement. I'm not going to get into that. I apologize. It's interesting. You're paying taxes on the money you're getting and the money you put into the system. So you're paying taxes both sides. Most civilian retirements don't do that. You either pay it when it goes into your retirement or when it comes out. Another way the military gets screwed. That's just a sidebar. Look at it. I wish people stop saying what they should be saying is, thank you for your sacrifice. Do you have PTSD? That's personal. Just say, thank you for your sacrifice. Okay. It is a sacrifice. Okay. You give up who you are for this country. And most of the time you're giving it up not knowing. Just taken from you secretively. Anyways, I think a good movie to watch, a good Hollywood insight would be A Few Good Men. The soldiers win their case against the officer. They won against their commander, but they were still kicked out. They were still mistreated. They still paid the price. That's what I'm saying. Jack Nicholson, the soldiers there died. Look at Hollywood. They usually put up hard to believe stuff, but the basic content, it has to get rent in the military or government. It's true. So you go look at the A Few Good Men with Jack Nicholson, and there's the enlisted guys. They won. Old Jack, he got locked up or whatever, but at the time, if it went out, the soldiers were still mistreated, kicked out. Seldom will they show enlisted members getting justice. A lot of times when they show Jag, Hollywood version of Jag is something else. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. The benchmark is Lieutenant Rudolph Ferris in other cases brought up by the doctrine. This shows you what the military was about. Here's my version of a commercial. There's some websites I find something they highly recommend. It's called Save Our Service Members. It was founded by a group of Gold Star and military families with a loved one who either died or was seriously injured at the start of their military careers. They did a great job explaining it, talking about it. Once again, that's what they focus on, right? I'm the overview, the big guy, the overview kind of guy. So if you get a chance, I will put the website in my transcripts. It's saveourservicemembers.org/Ferris/doctrine. You can go ahead and put down saveourservicemembers.org/Ferris/doctrine. Go check it out. And another one is the National Network Opposing the Militarization of Youth. And we'll work to demilitarize our schools and protect our students and their students. The National Network Opposing the Militarization of Youth. It comes down to, and I think is counter. Go check it out. Counter recruitment information. It's a great source of resources. It tells the truth, gives you, best way to say it is that it touches on everything I'm talked about, but it also gives you a course of action. If you do delay entry, I refuse to go. We need to get these military recruits out of our schools. They're coming in there with their uniforms on, they're just like giving candy, like a pedophile giving candy to kids. Anyway, it's going to be nnomy.org. Okay, that will get you National Network Opposing the Militarization of Youth, Counter Recruitment. I'll also put this in here. nnomy.org/index, or you can put it on Counter Recruitment, National Network Opposing the Militarization of Youth. Two great websites to go to. All right, it's really explains a lot. If you know a young person thinking about the military, those websites will give them the other side of the story. If you decide to join the military, more power to them. But now they'll know. When they get in, something that happens, they're not surprised. It does change the landscape when you know this is a part of it, and it's not because of you. A young lady who gets sexually assaulted by somebody in her command. Knowing that sexual assaults are high in the military, in 2003, 6% of people came forward, of the women. Okay? And I know there's some men involved too, right? 18 to 24. That comes down to, even in Army, my computer went off, so I lost a bit. What I was saying was that 6% sexually assaulted comes in at over 16,000 in a year. And that's just for one branch. Sexual assaults are common in society. That's over a lifetime. In the military, we're talking about 3 to 8 years. Knowing what you get into before can save a lot of heartache. If a person goes in, it's not like everybody's going to get sexually assaulted, but you're talking 16,000 times 4 in 5 branches. That's a lot of women. Men, and guess what? That's just the ones coming forward. Now looking at the military justice system based on discrimination and injustice. What is the process the person's going to run into? In many cases, the perpetrators are in the chain of command. What I want you to understand is the military don't expect justice. The rights, justice, Constitution, it doesn't exist. The sooner a person realizes that, the better off they're going to be. Yeah, I would say there's a lot of people who retire. They're the lucky ones. There's this thing called the 19-year itch. The ones are trying to get people out before they retire. And that's a whole different podcast. But anyway, I want to thank you. It's longer than usual. I want to thank you for joining in, listening, and hopefully you got some information out of it. Tune back in, and we will illuminate other things. That's going to help you understand what you're getting into. Have a good day. Bye.